Hello and welcome to Run Testers. My name's Nick, and in this video I'm going to be comparing the Puma Magnify Nitro 3 and the Puma Velocity Nitro 4. So the Magnify Nitro 3 and the Velocity Nitro 4 are two cushioned daily trainers within the Puma range. There's lots of similarities between the two shoes, but the Magnify Nitro 3 is the slightly higher stack shoe, it has a different foam in the midsole, and it's a little bit more expensive as well. The Magnify Nitro 3 will cost you £130 or $160, whereas the Velocity Nitro 4 is £110 or $140. Velocity is a fair bit lighter than the Magnify. It's 247 grams or 8.7 ounces in a UK 9, US 10. In the same size, the Magnify Nitro 3 is 280 grams or 9.9 ounces. They both have a 10mm drop, but with the Magnify Nitro 3, the stack height is 40mm at the heel, 30 at the forefoot, and it's 36 at the heel and 26 in the forefoot in the Velocity Nitro 4, so it's 4mm lower across the board. So when it comes to the design of the two shoes, with the Magnify Nitro 3, you've got an engineered mesh upper, but it feels quite knit in the front of the shoe for sure. It feels like quite a thick upper around the forefoot in particular. It's not too much padding on the tongue, but there's a little bit there, a little bit around the collar as well, and you've got an internal heel counter to add some structure there. You've got a Nitro foam midsole. That's the same on both shoes, but the actual foam we believe is different. On the Magnify Nitro 3, the Nitro foam is a nitrogen-infused Puma foam, I believe. You've got some sidewalls of foam there, so your foot sits within that to create a bit of stability. You've not got the wider space on the Magnify or the Velocity for sure. Puma has not really gone for that trend in modern cushion shoes to have the really wide base, which will be good news for some and bad news for some runners. Then you've got a Puma grip outsole with pretty good coverage on the forefoot and heel of the shoe. Then with the Velocity Nitro 4, you've got an engineered mesh upper again. It feels a little bit more traditional and less thick around the forefoot, I would say. A little bit of padding on the tongue, a bit of padding around the collar again with an internal heel counter on the Velocity Nitro as well. Nitro foam midsole again, but this time we believe it's an aliphatic TPU material. So this is not going to be the same aliphatic TPU that you get on the racing shoes like the Fast R3 or the DV8 Nitro Elite 3. It's been modified a little bit for daily training, but yeah, that's the material we believe we've got here. Again, quite a narrow shoe, narrow base, not loads of natural stability on either of these shoes, and a Puma grip outsole, good coverage on the forefoot and heel on the Velocity Nitro as well. Often the Puma grip outsoles you get on Puma shoes are an advantage compared to other brands, but obviously in this comparison you've got great outsoles on both shoes. So when it comes to the fit of the two shoes, I've got my normal size here, which is a UK 9, US 10. I would say that Puma are a little bit longer maybe sometimes than some other US 10s from other brands. I'm a little bit small for my size, so maybe I could look at going half a size down in these shoes, and if you're in between sizes, that might be something to look at. But that said, I have been very happy in my normal size with both. Got a fair bit of room in the toe box, but nothing that's feels like it's flapping around or anything like that. Now I've got a very good fit throughout the shoes. Good hold around the midfoot and heel on both of them. There's a little bit of padding there. I probably would trim it back a little bit to suit my taste, but I think it's fine. I haven't any real irritation around my Achilles. They are narrow shoes though. I have a pretty narrow foot and the fit's very good for me. Like I get a nice amount of support from the upper and it holds my foot in place without it feeling too tight. But I can notice the uppers on them around my midfoot, and that does mean they're probably narrower than most out there because, like I say, I do have a pretty narrow foot, and if you have a wide foot, that fit will probably put you off a little bit. I think it'll be quite constricted around the midfoot in particular, the way the shoe kind of tapers in. You might be hanging over the side of it a little bit as well. Like I say, not really a problem for me, and otherwise I've had no concerns really with the upper at all with the Velocity Nitro 4. The Magnify Nitro 3 I think is quite a warm upper. It's warmer than the Velocity Nitro 4 for sure, especially around the forefoot. Not the most breathable material. Again, hasn't been a huge problem for me, but might be if you're running in very hot conditions all the time. So I've done around 60k in both of these shoes, using them for a mix of the same kind of training runs in both. During my marathon training, I've been doing a fair bit of easy stuff in them, long runs and easy to steady progression runs, which are a pretty typical part of my running week. Both of them have really performed well across that range of runs, I would say. I think these are both really good cushion trainers, and compared to their peers from other brands, they really do stand out as very good value options, but not just value. I think the performance actually is better than a lot of shoes you're getting from other brands, as well as the price being a bit lower, especially here in the UK. Yeah, and I really enjoyed running in them. I think they're really well put together with very good foams in the midsole, good outsoles, pretty solid uppers as well. And they both have livelier rides, I'd say, than average for daily trainers. Like Puma has pushed the boat out and put some pretty good foams in these shoes, foams that you might expect to see only available at a higher price point. And we've got PIBA and ATPU here, and the ride really benefits from the use of those materials. They have a fair bit of bounce, they're soft, they're cushioned, but they are lively and responsive as well when you do start to up the pace, and that does really help with versatility on both. I'd say both of them are also quite smooth. You've got 10mm drops here, which some people just don't like in shoes. Don't really feel too snappy to me. Like 10mm drop shoes can feel quite snappy. Something like the Nike Pegasus or the Brooks Ghost feels like it snaps through for me as a heel striker. I don't always have the most comfortable feeling under my forefoot. I haven't had that with these shoes. I think the foams kind of smooth out the ride, and the general setup of the shoes means that they are fairly smooth. You still get a little bit of that snap through compared to a more rockered low drop shoe, but they do roll through quite nicely, and I haven't had any discomfort under my forefoot even on longer runs in these shoes. So certainly some similarities there. They both do perform well as cushioned daily trainers, but there are obviously differences here. Like the Velocity Nitro 4 is notably lighter and nimbler on the foot. I think it's even narrower still than the Magnify Nitro 3, considerably lighter as well, and really has a very nice pickup to it. It really feels like a nice extension of my body when I'm running in the Velocity Nitro 4, aided by the fact I do have a narrow foot. It just kind of disappears and lets me get on with the job. I pulled it out again just yesterday, just to get a little refresher on it for this comparison, doing a hilly 10 miler, and just felt really good nip throughout. Like it feels nice and nippy going up the hills, and for me, crucially, there is enough cushioning on the Velocity Nitro 4 when I was pounding down the hills and for long runs in general. I think you get enough support here. The forefoot doesn't bottom out for me at all or anything like that on long runs. It's not the highest stack shoe under the forefoot compared to the market at large these days, but it hasn't been a problem for me on anything. Even when running fairly hard at the end of quite long runs, it always feels good to me, the Velocity Nitro 4. And that's really going to be the key decision, I think, for lots of people picking between these shoes, because you do get more cushioning on the Magnify Nitro 4. It is a bigger shoe. You definitely get a bit more cushion underfoot, and maybe that will appeal to people, but it's whether the case you need that extra cushioning to pay the extra for the Magnify, for that extra 4mm of foam. I will say though, if you do go for the Magnify, you are still getting a versatile shoe here as well. I've done the same easy to steady runs around the same kind of paces as in the Velocity Nitro 4, and it still feels really good for them. Heart rate's about where I expect it to be, and I do think it's pretty versatile as a cushioned daily trainer. Velocity Nitro 4 has a nimbler feel. If you are looking really for one shoe to do everything and go and do flat out fast interval runs, that kind of thing, it will have a benefit there, but the Magnify Nitro does perform pretty well at fast paces as well, I found. And then when it comes to the differences between these two foams, so you have got different materials here, but in terms of performance, I really do think they perform at quite a similar level. Like for me, the Velocity Nitro 4 maybe felt a little bit softer underfoot, but I think it's more the setup of the shoe that I really noticed when I was running, in both shoes at the same time or running in them separately. I think you've got PIBA in the Magnify, you've got ATPU in the Velocity Nitro 4. Both perform really well at a range of paces, I would say. Both are comfortable, both are responsive, both are lively. There wasn't that big a difference between them, I think, on the run for me. Maybe a little bit softer, like I say, in the Velocity Nitro 4, but when I was running in both shoes at the same time, the thing that really came across to me was just that the Magnify felt like a bigger shoe, and it wasn't really heavy or anything like that, but the really nippy feel of the Velocity Nitro 4 I really like, and not just for faster running, just the way it feels nimble and small on the foot just makes it feel more comfortable for me at easy paces as well. And like I say, for me, there is enough cushioning underfoot for long, easy runs as well. So yeah, all around, there were two shoes that felt really good on the run, and I think you're getting quite similar levels of performance, versatility, and the experience of them isn't that different, but you have got that little bit more cush on the Magnify and that slightly lighter feel with the Velocity. So, verdict between these two shoes, I think there are lots of similar pros and similar cons to both of them. I didn't really cover the cons too much in the run test, because I do think they are quite similar with both shoes in that they are quite narrow. They're not that stable, I think, for big cushion shoes. Like, they're fine for neutral runners, but if you're someone who needs a stable neutral shoe or even a stability shoe, these wouldn't be the ones I'd go for. And then the pros between them, they're great. I think they're really good value. You've got a nice lively ride from those foams. They're comfortable on easy runs. They're a bit more energetic and responsive for fast runs than most cushion shoes out there. And they both can perform really well either as one shoe to do everything or as a cushion daily trainer in your lineup that you might pair with some slightly more speed focused shoes. And because there are similarities and the Velocity Nitro 4 is cushioned enough for me as a runner, that is the shoe I would pick. It's cheaper. I prefer the ride feel myself because, like I say, it's a bit lighter, nimbler, while still being nice and comfortable underfoot for me. I think that's exactly the kind of shoe that I look for as like the third shoe in a rotation. Like I'd pair the Velocity myself with a more dedicated, fast training shoe, something like a plated trainer like the Endorphin Speed 5 and the Mach X2 or the Adidas Evo SL, and then I get a carbon plate racing shoe as well, because it is comfortable enough for me and I enjoy the feel of it on easy runs. Like some people would definitely prefer the Magnify Nitro 3 for that job in a rotation because you've got a bit more cushioning there, but a little bit of cushioning doesn't do so much for me, and it's just a bigger shoe and a slightly more expensive shoe. But lots of people would rather have the cushioning, and the Magnify Nitro 3 is a great shoe, and it does really offer a nice level of performance as well. Again, can be an all-rounder, especially if you're a newer runner who wants a more protective ride than you're getting from the Velocity. Can do all your runs in the Magnify, can do everything in it for sure, or it can sit in a rotation as your easy day shoe. So yeah, they are very good shoes, these, and it'll probably come down to personal preferences. I think in general they'll do the same job for different runners. You know yourself how much you value that extra cushioning and whether you really need it in a shoe, or if you prefer the lighter feel. If you're a lightweight runner who doesn't necessarily want that little bit of extra cushioning, you're going to get a better deal in the Velocity, and you're not really missing out on anything in terms of the differences in the foam between them. For me anyway, I don't think paying the extra for the Magnify gets you a better midsole foam. Maybe on paper it does. They're both really good midsole foams. The Velocity felt great for me, and I think that's the one I'd go for myself. That's a comparison of the Puma Velocity Nitro 4 and the Puma Magnify Nitro 3. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, ring the little bell, and we'll see you next time.